Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about episode 5 of House of the Dragon. And whoa, did this episode not disappoint. Game of Thrones is just so good with these wedding episodes. This is like 3 for 3, even though this is House of the Dragon and not Game of Thrones. But same universe. Every wedding episode has to be amazing. So it was just really, really cool. It was just peak Game of Thrones. It was just the best stuff ever. It was right up there. It was top tier Game of Thrones stuff. So the episode basically starts off with Damon. We get Damon. We finally get introduced to his wife. We see his wife. I can't even remember her name. She has only basically a cameo, but she's in the veil and she's like doing her hunting stuff. She's like a little Arya. She's out on the with the horse and everything. Like she's doing her whole thing, and she's like clearly like there's nothing wrong with her. Like Damon was bad mouthing her and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with her. She's pretty. She seems to be fierce and like bold and badass and stuff. Like she seems like a great wife. But she is like giving Damon so much shit. Like she clearly sees through all of his stuff, and that's probably why he doesn't like her. And she's just like kind of jabbing at him about all the stuff. Generally, I think all of that's probably justified because he's, basically abandoned her and everything. So it makes total sense. But then he just kind of spooks her horse and gets the horse to throw her from it. And she hits the ground in such a way where it paralyzes her from the neck down. And it's like, oh, that was kind of messed up. And then Damon grabs a rock and kills her. So, like, wow. I don't know if this is purely because he wants Rhaenyra or if it's because he wants Rhaenyra because he wants the throne. So it's like some of that's going on. It's clearly him plotting and all that kind of stuff. So Damon is just a force in this show. He barely has any lines. I love the fact that we can give Matt Smith like almost no lines at all, and he can still just command every scene that he's in. It's just really, really well done. I can't get over it. It's so cool. But then, like, let's fast forward to the actual wedding itself. It was so well done. Like, well, it kind of wasn't even the wedding. It was the banquet celebrating the betrothal. It was supposed to be 7 days of feast and tournaments and stuff, and then the actual wedding. And this is like they end up getting married at the end because so much shit goes down, and it's so intense. Like before they get over there to Driftmark to actually make the proposal for the wedding, Rhaenyra and Sir Krista have a conversation, and he basically says like he wants to give up everything that he has, and he wants her to give up everything that she has, so that they can run away across the narrow sea and be together and actually get married and like be in love and stuff. Because he is legitimately head over heels in love, like real person love kind of stuff, not somebody who's lived in the court, system and knows all this politicking and all this stuff. Like he is someone who's just purely in love and like who's so deeply within this emotional state that it's like a end all be all kind of thing for him. So he's just ready to give it all up for her to go, and she's basically like, no, because I'm going to be queen, and like I've lived this entire life and all this kind of stuff. She's like, so she basically rejects him and stuff, and he takes it really hard as like a rejection of himself because the way she words it very much gives that off. So he kind of storms off and leave off. So they're not in a great place. And then later on, the queen, like, she's just basically trying to get confirmation that Rhaenyra left her room, basically to corroborate the thought that she slept with Daemon in the last episode. So she's basically still trying to get proof of that idea, where Sir Kristen doesn't quite realize that. He assumes that she knows that they slept together. So he immediately admits to it. And Allison is just like, what the fuck? Like, she got her dad, she basically, by taking Rhaenyra's side, her dad lost his job and stuff, so she feels responsible for that. And he put the fear in her that Rhaenyra is going to kill her children to solidify her claim and stuff like that. So she's got like all this fear and like paranoia and stuff building up in her, and then to find this out like just kind of confirms it. So she basically makes a decision to be like, screw all of this. Like she completely is like in it now. You can tell she's completely in the game now. So later on, when they're at the feast and everything, and it's like all going well, later, Sir Laenor, the son of the sea snake, or I think it's the sea snake, the heir to the Valarians, he and Rhaenyra meet, and then we find out that he's actually gay, and he doesn't, really want to marry her or whatever, but he's going to do his duty and all that stuff. So she basically says, it's okay, you can still satisfy your taste and I'll satisfy my taste. Basically, they agree to get married politically, but both have their own affairs with each other's consent, basically. So, like, it kind of works out. It's like a perfect little setup for them and stuff. They're like, we'll do our duty and then we'll just kind of go off and do our own things and, just be cool. So it just seemed like it was working out. And then Lenore like tells his boyfriend and stuff, who is his sworn or is planning to be like his sworn protector or whatever. So like he tells him and all this stuff. So you can tell he's a much more scheming kind of political kind of person. So when we get to the feast later on, he immediately goes and like he's paying attention because everybody, oh my God, it was driving me crazy at the feast. Like everybody is so obvious with all their politicking, all these side glances and all these long looks and like all these side conversations and all this stuff. It's like people can see you. Like everybody can see all of these alliances if they're really paying attention to what they're looking at. So it's just tripping me out the whole time. I'm like, we can all see this, and I'm sure everybody else can see this as well. So before all of that happens, though, Allison basically throws down the gauntlet by showing up in Hightower green, this perfect forest green, this beautiful dress that she's in. She just looks immaculate. She shows up to the banquet like right as Viserys is giving his speech, like in the middle of his speech, interrupts him, interrupts everything, steals all attention, and then just kind of shows up. Then we have some of the people from Hightower is like, what color does the light burn when Hightower like declares war? And they're like green. So she's basically wearing a full-on declaration of war. So she is fully against Rhaenyra at this point and is fully going to like push for her son to be king and stuff. So you can tell she's fully in it now. Like her demeanor and everything, the way she like calls Rhaenyra's stepdaughter and like kisses Viserys and stuff like that. She just like, you can tell she's fully into it. So later on, like she basically also, after everything kind of gets going, people dancing and stuff, she basically shows up, interrupts, sit downs for like one dance, and then gets up and leave, and like makes it very clear. And like she goes and talks to some of the other high towers, basically shoring up her alliances already. So some of this stuff is just very clear. Like I guess it's very clear for us, but I feel like if I was just a bystander, I would have like realized all of this stuff is going on. Like you can see Laenor hanging out with his boyfriend. Like you can see the way they, interact with each other. That like there's more going on here and stuff. And he goes and tells Laenor, because he's seeing all these side glances exactly as I'm saying. So he's seeing how Sir Kristen is looking at Rhaenyra, and he's like, okay, that's clearly who she's with and all this stuff. So he can see all of that. So he tells Laenor, and they're like, okay, so she knows your secret and we know her secret, so we should all be good. So it should have been left right there. I think it should have been left right there. But this guy, he just wanted, like, I guess he wanted everybody to know everybody's secrets, which was like so stupid to me. It's like, y'all, like, she knows and you know, like that's all that needed to be happen. Like the paramours, the side pieces don't need to know that about each other. Like they don't need to be friends with each other, like even though he was like, we should swear to protect their secrets and stuff like that. And like he basically wanted an ally in keeping their secrets and situation, stable. But it's like this guy is not a politicking person. Like Laenor's boyfriend clearly was someone brought up in the court and understood all these secrets and was okay with having to maneuver and, fim-fangle in order to get the happiness he could get and all that kind of stuff. So I could understand that. But like Sir Kristen he is like a Prince Charming level of lawful good or something, because it's just, he was ready to immediately die when he told Allison, it was like, just don't geld me and torture me, just give me like a clean death or something. It was like, he's just, because he broke his oath, and just, it has such a more direct, terrible effect on him than it does on everyone else. So I don't quite know yet, because it just kind of happens. We're not even in the POV of when it happens. But Sir Kristen attacks Laenor's boyfriend and beats him straight up to death in the middle of the banquet, to the point where it's so terrible. And Laenor's reaction to it makes it even more obvious who the guy was to him. So it's just, the whole thing is just intense. And then Daemon, of course, who's not supposed to be around at all. He's not supposed to be in King's Landing. He was dismissed and stuff. He shows up like the just wrecking ball badass that he is. And he has almost no lines. and he just like shows up and like just walks up to the table and stuff like hi, and then Viserys like okay, give him a seat or whatever. Like he gets a seat and he gets to sit there. But while everybody's on the dance floor and stuff dancing, we got all these side conversations happening, all the politicking going on and stuff. He goes up to Rhaenyra and basically, just it's so the whole interaction is so explicit. And Viserys is watching. The reason why it comes across as like everybody's politicking is so clear and so obvious is because how many characters we get to see the perspective of that they are seeing this stuff happen. Viserys sees all this happen. Daemon sees all it happening. Laenor and his boyfriend sees all this happening. Rhaenys and her husband, whose name I can't remember, the head of Driftmark right now, like they see all of this happening. They're looking at their son as he's off with his boyfriend and stuff, and they're like, "Yeah," but they already knew like he was gay and stuff. I assume they did and all that. But like everybody can see it. Nobody's really hiding this stuff. So Daemon goes to talk to her in Valerian, and she just immediately Rhaenyra immediately starts like taunting him, like basically throwing it in his face, like an accusation that he was just kind of going for what he wanted, but like was just kind of playing around or whatever. And she basically just challenged him. Like she's still clearly very attracted to him, and it's like they were basically making out on the floor of the like it just the whole thing just was so insane. It was so much politicking. And then it kind of culminates with Sir Criston killing Laenor's boyfriend. And it just like stole the show to the point where it's like everybody knew everything. Like all of this clearly was out in the open. So they were saying like, well, let's just go ahead and get married now. So at the end of the banquet with the blood on the floor and they dismissed everybody out, they get married right then and there. And the last thing I want to talk about before I jump off, because I'm just rambling at this point. The whole thing's just a ramble. The whole episode's just like ramble worthy. But Viserys, oh my goodness, like as they get married, like they say the final vow and stuff, Viserys passes out. That's like the third time in the episode he's passed out. Like his Rhaenys goes to like grab his hands and stuff, and she realizes he's missing fingers and his hands and stuff hurt. So his hands are still rotting. Like he's puking on the boat to go to Driftmark. He's like seasick and stuff, and he's just passing out like he is just withering and just deteriorating. Viserys is probably going to be dead by next episode. The next episode might be his last episode. And this episode was the last time we get young Rhaenyra and young Alicent. We get a 10-year or so time jump next episode, and we're going to swap out the actresses. And it's like, it's so good. But like they didn't do anything that was particularly amazing that makes the transition painful. At this point, stuff is just ramping up so hard that you're like, okay, yeah, let's get into it. Because 10 years is going to jump. There's going to be so many more kids and stuff. So much more is going on. More dragons are going to be around. And it's just about to go down. And this is crazy because this is season 1. So at this point, at this rate of speed, I would imagine they could only do about 3 seasons. Like otherwise, what? We're going to get to like the proper age range, and then there's no more time skips, and every episode will just kind of go like that, and all these first 5 episodes have basically been set up. I guess they could do it like that. I don't know how we'll feel about that. I don't know. We'll see. But at this point, this episode is still great. Every episode so far has been great. There hasn't been a single episode so far that has been less than a 7.5 to me. And this is probably up here about 9 or something like that. I don't know. It was really, really good. I really like it. Let me know what you think about the episode if you watched in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will talk to you all next time. Peace.